Hello magical makers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Nicole of Woven Tales Designs. As you can see by the title, in today's video we are going to check in. I am checking in with you because I've had a very busy week, a lot of motivated feelings going on, I had one day of not such a motivated feeling because I spent a lot of time film editing, and that is actually a passion of mine. I do like the back end stuff when it comes to content creation. I had one day get away from me, but we will talk about that later and how I kind of mentally resolved that. So lots to talk about. First things first, I hope you have something cozy to sip, something lovely to work on as you sit here and hear my chats and my thoughts today. I hope you have brought something to work on as you sit and listen to me ramble about my WIPs and how they're doing and my progress. So let's get into it. What did I accomplish this week of crochet? Let's see. Okay. Let's break out this book again. So last time, if you watched my vlog, the very intro vlog that I did, I shared with you that I am keeping progress of things in this weekly calendar thing that I got from Target ages ago. I made this little sleeve for it a long time ago. I haven't really actively used this until this past year, but I've had this for a couple years. That's how old it is, but it's probably as old as some of my WIPs, so it plays. It's very on brand. I did go ahead and fill out my week according to the WIPs that I have to work on. I also posted a really short video. If you missed it, I'll leave a card up here, but I posted a very short video kind of showing you and describing how I write this out and how it works for me. It won't work for everybody, but this is just what my brain can subscribe to for the moment. If I have anything that's too orderly, I will ignore the calendar, and if I have something too vague, I will also ignore the calendar. So I have to find that sweet spot for my mental sanity. Because I started working a day after I started planning, because that's just how my work week started, I actually only have 6 days on here. So let me just double check. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, technically. So it's a 6-day week that I started with this. However, because I am not working on Saturdays and Sundays, I will have technically only 4 days recorded of work that I could have gotten done. So 4 out of 5 days were written down here. But I actually did do some work over the weekend, which I was really proud of myself. I got very inspired by one of my WIPs. We'll talk about it later. Honestly, in this past week, I've only worked on 2 projects, and that is the toddler tether backpack and the temperature blanket. So that was I think that's WIPs 1 and 3 in the lineup of the list. If you're watching these vlog check-ins, intros, all that, I am posting a week later from when it's filmed. So I actually have something to share with you. So there's that. But I'm so excited. Let me show you what I worked on. So let's dive into it. Let's go into the bigger one. Let's go with the temperature blanket. Let me show you what I got done. Okay, so I feel like I have to sit back because there's a lot of fabric here. So I worked on my temperature blanket. This is a big piece of fabric. I still haven't measured this thing. For the next time I check in, I will bust out my measuring tape and I will measure it for you. But this is already super heavy, super long. It just feels like if you lay down with this does feel like it could fit on a queen size bed very easily. I did attach the full strand that you saw in the intro vlog for this. I attached it to the next place on the blanket. So this is the top strip that you see, that last column here, this edge column, that is what I attached. It did take me a minute to remember where on the blanket it had to attach to. I had to go back into my records, look at the last row or column that it attached. I literally had to look at all the colors of this blanket and be like, okay, where was this last? Was it this side or was it the other side? But I do remember that it wasn't this side, because this side has a lot of this, you see it's called bruschetta, that's the colorway. This like reddish kind of like tomato color. That, I haven't used it in a long time. I knew that that wasn't the most recent of the columns that were worked into the blanket, so that was a good thing. Also, I did remember too that this had, the way that the stitches work, I use a single crochet to attach the columns together. And by looking at where the last fasten off point is, thank God I didn't weave in a couple ends here, I was able to see where the last row was attached that way as well. So just by visually remembering how this goes down and how it looks, that is what I attached. I did attach the one strip that you saw, which was great. Then, let me just set this cutie right here. Then I got to work. I finished up one of the strips. So these are what these look like when they're not attached to the blanket. It's basically a column of these almond shape motifs that are connected at the corners. There's two corners technically, and they're kind of intertwined with those last two stitches and the last chain too. That is at the peak of at each corner here. It's really fun. I wanted something that was, it looked like it was a Moroccan theme. That was kind of my vibe. I wanted something like Mediterranean, Moroccan, something that looked like it came from World Market, one of those stores, or something you could find, you know, in a bohemian style boutique. I really wanted something with these kind of like 70s colors at the time when I was picking my colors. I was really wanting something more rustic that could match a lot of neutrals, because my interior design aesthetic, I don't really got one. But what I do have is I have a love for things that look like they've been passed down. I really like stoneware. I really like naturals and neutrals, natural materials. I feel like I could be like a mix between traditional Scandinavian and bohemian styles. I'm not super eclectic. I do need order in my life, but I do love a kind of like a organic shape, like this curved almond shape. So that was like the vibe I was going for. Again, if you haven't seen that vlog, I have just 2 vlog episodes because I never really got past the 2, as you can see. But I really loved the process of designing this. So because I was so energized by my own design, I really went for it and had a blast with getting to know this pattern again and taking the time to I don't know, just fall in love with my past work. So that's what you see here. So I have one that was finished, another one that was started and finished. And again, these are over 6 days, technically 5, because I had one full day where I didn't do anything. So 2 of these are done. They haven't been attached yet. When I go to attach them to the blanket itself, I need a day for it because it actually does take some time. That is my one downfall from this, because I attach them with the right side facing me. So I have to intentionally use my hook to go into the back bump of some of the stitches and the third loop of some of the stitches. And because they're brick laid, how they kind of arrange, it's not exactly like an easy join. It makes sense in my head, but it does take time. It's a little time consuming. I'm gonna share with you my plan of attack for continuing this momentum. So a lot of the time, this blanket in itself, obviously it's a temperature blanket. It's not like we're going from like 90 degrees one day to like 40 degrees the next day. It is incredibly much the same in usually a week to week and a half time frame. You're gonna be making the same exact color sequence, which can be exhausting. Now, what I didn't explain in the last vlog, and that you would see if you watch the original vlogs, is that I have 3 numbers recorded and crocheted for each day. The high and the low temperatures, so 1 and 2, the high and low. And then I have been fancy, and I thought in my designer brain, how fun would it be to record the average humidity of the day, because I live most of the time in Florida, and then when I'm not in Florida, I'm usually in places where the temperature and the humidity is just like this like crazy tumultuous like back and forth. So I thought it would be exciting. But unfortunately, the problem that I was receiving was when I was first working on this was I was really bored because I was getting, and I'll show you an example of this. Where is it? I was getting like strips where I was doing like this color combo, this like tobacco, French lilac, russet, tobacco, French lilac, russet, tobacco, French lilac, russet. I mean, that was the same. And then we had this strip. We had tobacco, clay, sage, tobacco, clay, sage, tobacco, clay, sage, tobacco, clay, sage. And that was happening a lot. And so I wasn't getting enough mental stimulation. And because it's worked flat in the round until you connect things, I was just getting bored. It was feeling like busy work, really. So I solved that problem because I said to myself, now, Nicole, there's got to be a way that you can hack your own brain for this. So I decided to go ahead and batch the same repeat days where the numbers are recorded the same or in the same range. I have now started to batch them. So today we went out and we did some errands, my husband and I and my son, and I brought in my car, for my car project, because I got to be passenger princess, I brought with me my yarn because I went ahead and looked into my notebook, which I'll show you in a second, and I saw that I had 4 days that were exactly alike, and then I had 5 days that were exactly alike. I went ahead and I pre-made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, and I just snipped enough yarn off the top so that I could just easily put the hook back in, join it, and be done with it. So I'm really glad I did that because that's like actually a good amount of work, but because I'm sitting in the car, I'm talking with my husband, I'm not bored, so I'm able to crank these out without feeling you know, my ennui creep in, the boredom, as they say in Inside Out 2. I love that character. And I did the same thing with this tobacco color because it represented, I still have to make 2 more of these, but those last 2 rounds go really fast once you have this started, and connecting them is, for me, the fun part because it's just like a race to the end. So if I do my due diligence tonight, I could bust these out and finish another strip in 1 day, which is amazing. So it's good for me if I know that I'm going to be able to sit down and work on stuff. Like if my son, you know, if we have a rainy day and we're doing movies instead of going to the park, I can sit down during the 2-hour movie and crank out a bunch of these, which is fantastic. This is my temperature blanket notebook. Well, it's not just for the temperature blanket, but it is my notebook that I have used to record the temperatures and the humidity for my blanket. Separate from this, I have a note in my phone where I have recorded the colors that I use with the yarn names for every temperature and every temperature range and every humidity range, which is really good. The very beginning of this, I have, now this is like a bullet journal that I made, like I'm talking like 2019, I made this a long time ago. I like hand bound this. It was a labor of love and I use it for a lot of things, and I just have bullet point paper in here. But I have a list of all my color names so that I remember what they are, and then usually when I write them down in here, I abbreviate. So I have it like listed out a week at a time, broken down. I leave a space on the side for me to put a check mark when that day is finished. So, and it's not just writing down. I have a website I have saved where I can go in and look at past weather, and I do have to do a little bit of math because every time I go to write down the humidity, because it's the average humidity of the day, not the high humidity of the day, because if it was the high humidity of the day, like this thing would be like the same every time. I have to take 4 measurements that are on this website, and I have to get the average of 4. So add 4 together and then divide it by 4 to get the average for the day. So I have to do a little bit of math, but I'm okay with that because I actually like math. I like weaving in my ends and I like math. You can't tell I like weaving in my ends because this blanket has a lot of ends to weave in, but that again will be a whole day. And one day I'll catch up on that. So I have like many days recorded in here, and next to the highs and lows I have the names written down so that when I go to make it, all I have to do is reference it. Now I did lose a partial day of work. This was on the 2nd. I didn't really get a lot of work done on the 2nd on the temperature blanket, crochet wise. It was a more of like a catch up with my recordings in this notebook and figure out exactly where I'm starting up again. And then I had to take a minute because I think I remember I mentioned in this blanket there are some motifs that we'll have in the very last round. I don't know if you can see this, a white gold metallic crochet thread worked into the very last round. The reason I did this was that because this blanket it is of a year where we did a lot of traveling, I wanted to have moments of pops of a different like kind of like marled yarn look. So I did that by adding in that crochet thread. But because I didn't write down all the days that I traveled, I had to go through my photos, my flight ticket emails. I had to go through all these things on my phone just to remember and record in here exactly when it was that I traveled in 2023, because I don't remember. And also, like, to my defense, that year, like, my son wasn't even 2 yet. He was just hitting age 1. He was very active. We were doing a lot of things together. So I was just trying to stay afloat that year. Again, hence why I only did 2 vlogs. You know, I was really just focusing on being a mom. But I had to go in, and on the 2nd, when I was recording kind of like my process of writing my calendar down for this whole WIP bag project, I sat down and I said, you know what, let me just sit down, let me write out my dates that I traveled, let me figure this out, and then let me fill in the next 4 calendar write-ups, because I had previously worked on like making just blank calendars to fill in with like pre-made dates. So I have that up until actually September of 2023. This is my whole notebook setup. It's haphazard, it's homemade, it's DIY. It's all the things we love about this life. So that was WIP number 1 that I got to work on this week. Big progress with it. My temperature blanket, it is going strong. The second WIP that I worked on, that I got a lot of work done on, because I really like making these. Now my son, he's getting a little bit old for these. I think he's probably going to be outgrowing these in, I would say, like 6 months or so. I don't think I can get away with putting him in this because he's getting older and he's, you know, getting really independent. But I really love my toddler tether backpacks. This is a design that I've come up with out of necessity first, and then I decided that I was going to try to make it something that I can write a pattern for, because I think it's needed. I've gifted one of them to a friend. I'll put a picture of the backpack itself up on the screen. It turned out really great. It was pink. It was kind of like Kate Spade vibes with the flowers and the pearls. It was really, really cute. And I really loved making that for her, and I really wanted to get another mom's opinion. Spoiler alert, they love it. They said this was great. I even brought a handful of these to a market that I did this past year. Actually, a couple markets I brought them. I only sold one, but the one that I sold was Mickey Mouse themed, and I'll put a picture of that up as well. That one was a huge hit. I would love to yarn bound that with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. So once I write up the backpack tether pattern, the base pattern, I'll probably release a character mod for it for Mickey and Minnie, and then, you know, people can take it wherever they want. You know, from there, you know, it's I feel like my patterns, the way I like to design, I like to make things that can be canvases for someone else's creative ideas. So, you know, here's a toddler tether backpack. We're not going to attach any crazy like trending things to it. We're just going to make the pattern. It's going to be clean. You can see where you can add in colors. It's going to be, you know, I can give you suggestions on yarn. Like, that's how I like to design. I like to, you know, infuse more creativity in the future maker, because what else are we doing this for, you know? Let's go inside this bag and see what we got going on. So this is, the base of this is done, which is great. What you don't see that needs to get worked on is I need to make the straps for it still. So that is going to take some time because I do want to make, I wanted to play a little bit with the different type of straps that I usually end up making. Usually I just end up making them as like a back loop only ribbed type of strap, which is connected with that buckle that I shared in the last vlog. Where is it? In here? Yes. So we have like a little buckle. This looks like almost like a dog buckle on for like a dog collar, you know. But usually this will be in between the two straps. So it will serve as basically just almost like a harness clip, like how seatbelts have, so the kids can't break out of it. Because the first time I made this for him, I'm not even gonna share a picture of it because it's so old. And also like I then ended the buckle later, so it doesn't matter. I did not have the buckle. And you better believe that my young 18-month-old got his butt out of that faster than I put it on him. And so from then on, I said, you know what? I worked too hard on this for it to be just like broken out of. So I attached this, and then I also upgraded and added elastic thread eventually later into the back of the strap so that when you stretch it out, it comes back to you. It's got a little bit more support with the elastic thread. And this is something I found for some TikTok I saw or some reel I saw on Instagram. Somebody had added this to, it was, I think it was like a shirt strap or like a waistband, a ribbed waistband. So I'm really happy that I saw that video because this has been a game changer as well, because these go everywhere. These toddler tether backpacks, anytime I run an errand and I'm just going in quickly and it's not like a trip to Costco, you know, or even a trip to Costco, I like having these because in case I need to step away from my grocery cart and take my son to go change his diaper, or we need to, you know, mommy has to go pee-pee, I don't want to carry him everywhere. He's getting heavier, like, and he really likes his independence. So this allows him to have independence. The zipper incorporation took forever to figure out. I think that was the longest part. This actually looks like a monster mouth. But this will fit a pack of diapers, at least, or excuse me, a pack of wipes, at least 2 diapers, a juice box, you know, one of those like applesauce pouches, you know, little like twisty pouches. And he loves wearing it because it's like he's wearing his own like kind of like thing. And after he kind of got over like, you know, the straps being like around his arms, it was not a big deal. And especially I think because when I added the buckle, this felt more like a seatbelt to him. It was kind of like almost like a security backpack. So it's really great. Everywhere we go, people always comment, wow, that's so smart. Or
I used to do that with my kids back in the 70s and you don't see kids doing that anymore, you know, whatever.
People love to comment on these things. So I got really motivated to work on this, but I have hit kind of like a crojo block because I know now the last thing I have to do is the straps, and then I usually make an extra loop, like an I-cord loop that I attach into the top center, and that's just to like be able to hang it if, you know, you want to hang this on like a whatever, like a bathroom stall door, or if I ever hang it like when we walk in the house on like the coat rack or something, it's helpful. But the straps, because it's a repetitive back and forth back loop only, and then I have to go back in with the elastic crochet thread, and then I have to like attach the buckle, and then I gotta remember how to attach it to the back rack. It's such a labor of love. So I do want to adjust how I work on the straps, and I will share that with you once I trial and error that and work on this again. But you know what's crazy is that talking about this now makes me want to work on it tonight. So that's a good thing. You know, maybe I will work on this tonight and I won't worry about the temperature blanket bits, or maybe I will do both and we'll see how far I get. But I'm really happy that I did get this far. In conclusion, for this project, this won't take too long to finish and fasten off. I just have to put myself in the mindset that I'm just going to do it, because the straps really actually shouldn't take that long, but they could because of my lack of discipline. Yay! I think maybe with the idea of changing up the straps just a little bit might make me feel more motivated to get it done. So I'm going to roll with that. and I'm going to see if that helps me. And maybe, you know, it's for the best. Maybe like I'm feeling a certain way about working on the straps because they do need to be changed, and the design and that part of the pattern does need a better option. But at the end of the day, I really love these, and I think that they could be a great pattern in the future. So if this is something that you could see yourself making down the road, let me know. This is not a quick make by any means, and I will preface this. If anyone's ever curious about checking out my patterns, I always list my shops in the description below, and I have a ton of free tutorials on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in seeing those, go ahead and check those out. But I do not design for the quick make. I design for your artistic soul. I think that it's important for us to feed our inner artist, and I don't think that doing so by making 1,000 washcloths or 50,000 bumblebees, I don't think that's going to in the long run sustain your creative thirst. I think every now and then you need a project that piques your interest and that takes you on a journey and that brings you to a sense of accomplishment as a maker and helps you level your skills up. Even if you think that you're an advanced crocheter, there's always something more to learn. You can always add more tricks to your bag of tricks. So that's who I am as a designer. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Nicole. I do not make fast fashion patterns, and I use that term loosely. Like, I am not the Shein pattern maker over here. I make patterns that are for the art form. So if you are someone that is looking to do something interesting and different, whether it's for a special gift for someone, like if you want to make your friend a pair of mouse ears for their trip to Disney, or you want to do a magical frog prince for Valentine's Day for your galentine, you know, I'm your girl. Now, if you're someone that just wants quick makes for markets, I'm not your girl at all. I can give you a whole list of people that I think would be great for you, but that is not me. Anyway, so that's just my 2 cents on that, because I love this craft so much and it has given so much to me as an individual. So I just love giving it back with my patterns. Anyway, so this is how much I've gotten done. It is seamed together, and you know, hopefully maybe down the road when I get my act together, I can kind of share with you like clips of like the pieces as I've, you know, made them and attached them and all that. So hopefully I will get to that. Okay guys, and on that note, that is it for my check-in. It was pretty simple, just 2 things got the spotlight this week. This is my message to you. If you're someone that's starting to do what I do and you're working on your WIPs and you want to have a game plan and you have a plan and things are written out and you have a schedule for yourself and you have a day where you just don't do anything, that's okay, because you will have days where you will do more than you expect. So in the long run, it will all balance out. Thank you so much for coming in here and checking in. Leave a comment down below. What WIP are you excited to see finished out of all of this? What WIP are you working on? Do you have a giant bag of WIPs, or are you really disciplined and you only have 1 to 3 WIPs at a time? Because I'm curious to know, because sometimes I'm really disciplined. That's a lie. I'm never really that disciplined, but most of the time I try to be. So I hope you all have a creative day, adding magic to your stitches in your own way, and I will see you in the next check-in. Goodbye. It's just terrible writing, by the way. I'm one of those weirdos, I know. So yeah, there's that knowledge. That was my quick TED Talk.